Today we are doing a deep dive into the brilliant, bizarre, and honestly deeply moving legacy of Japan's dirt racing king, a horse named Transcend.
Such a fitting name.
Right. We've got a fantastic stack of sources in front of us today, biographical notes, detailed race histories, pedigree analyses, and our mission for this deep dive is to explore how this late-blooming horse didn't just win by being fast.
Yeah, he was so much more than that.
Exactly. He actually forced the entire field to play by his rules and ultimately became a beacon of hope for an entire nation.
Yeah, and if you follow racing, you know the conventional wisdom, right? Victory is usually just seen as a simple math equation of pure speed, pedigree, and physical dominance.
The fastest horse wins.
Exactly. But Transcend dictated races mentally. He was aggressive, he was fearless, and for a period in the early 2010s, no dirt horse in Japan controlled the psychology of a race quite like him.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because you don't just, wake up one day and decide to mentally break an entire sport.
Yeah.
So where does his story actually begin?
Well, it begins on March 9th, 2006. He was born as a homebred horse for North Hills. And right away, if we look at his pedigree, we see this fascinating contradiction.
Oh, how so?
So his sire was Wild Rush, which is a very successful American dirt specialist known for just raw, aggressive power. But his broodmare sire, his maternal grandfather, was the legendary Tony Bin. And Tony Bin won the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, which is arguably the greatest turf race in the world. He produced these legendary, late-charging Tokyo turf specialists.
Wait, so you've got American dirt power crashing head-on into European turf stamina and finesse.
Exactly.
That is a complete genetic tug-of-war.
It really was. And his connections placed a massive expectation on him right from the start by naming him Transcend, literally meaning to transcend or rise above. But early on, that genetic tug-of-war made finding his footing, well, really difficult.
And they initially put him on the turf.
Right, probably hoping that Tony Bin turf stamina would shine through.
Exactly. He finished second, which, isn't terrible, but then he developed inflammation and had to scratch from his next race. So they finally pivot to the dirt surface, and the transformation is instantaneous. He wins his maiden race easily. Then he enters a 5 million yen class race, and he doesn't just win, he crushes the field by 7 lengths.
But, old habits die hard in horse racing. Even after that brilliant dirt performance, his connections briefly tried him on the turf again in the Kyoto Shimbunhai.
Oh, man, which ended in a disastrous 9th-place finish.
Yeah, it was bad.
But honestly, sometimes you need a disaster to finally accept reality, right? I mean, think about having a false start in your own career. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But that 9th-place finish forced them to stop fighting his nature. They accepted the obvious. Transcend was purely a dirt horse.
And an extremely good one. Once they finally committed to the dirt, he entered a 10 million yen class race and won by 8 lengths. And he did it in record time.
Wow.
Then he went on to capture the newly created Leopard Stakes, which was his first graded victory. The physical talent was undeniable at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
But as he moved into his 4-year-old season, he really discovered his defining working style. He became a pure, unadulterated, aggressive frontrunner. He fought right at the front in the Tokai Stakes and Nihon TV High. He finished second in both, but he was basically testing the limits of this psychological warfare. And then he perfected it in the Miyako Stake.
Right, which had just been promoted to graded status. And he dominated it from the front for another graded victory. But dominating newly promoted stakes races is one thing. Testing that strategy against the best in the country at the Japan Cup Dirt is another entirely.
Yeah, the Japan Cup Dirt was the ultimate crucible. He went in as the favorite, facing incredibly strong rivals. The gates opened, and he executed his strategy flawlessly. He blasted straight to the lead.
And the field chased him desperately, trying to let the physics of wind resistance wear him down. But nobody could catch him.
No one.
That was his first G1 victory. And it proved his strategy wasn't just a gimmick because he followed it up right away at the February Stakes. He held off a late charge by a very powerful rival named Furioso, cementing 2 straight G1 wins.
2 straight G1 wins. At that point, the debate was over. He was unequivocally the king of Japanese dirt racing.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But, dominating at home is one thing. Carrying the weight of a grieving nation on the world stage is something entirely different.
Which brings us to the 2011 Dubai World Cup. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah. To set the scene technically first, The Dubai World Cup at the time was held at Maiden Racecourse on an all-weather synthetic surface called tapeta.
Okay, why does that matter?
It's crucial. Traditional American dirt favors explosive power. European turf favors late gliding acceleration. Synthetic surfaces sit right in the middle, so they neutralize the advantage traditional dirt horses have.
Meaning Japanese horses who often balance dirt power with turf pedigrees, exactly like Transcend, actually had a realistic chance.
Exactly. Japan sent 3 absolute stars, Victor Pisa, Buena Vista, and Transcend.
But the technical advantage is totally overshadowed by what was happening back home.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the date. The Dubai World Cup was held on March 26, 2011. That is exactly 15 days after the Great East Japan earthquake and tsunami. The devastation was apocalyptic. Japan was in a state of profound shock and deep mourning. Suddenly, these horses were carrying the emotional weight and hopes of the entire country.
It's hard to even comprehend that kind of pressure. And the race starts, and Transcend, true to form, ignores the pressure and immediately goes to the front. He takes the lead against the best horses in the world.
He really did.
But amid all this heavy, intense emotion, there is this detail that we mentioned at the very start of the deep dive, the camera stare.
It is so perfectly Transcend.
It is the funniest detail. He's in the biggest race of his life, running at the front in a pressure cooker environment, and the onboard tracking vehicle pulls alongside him on the rail.
Right.
And he becomes visibly distracted by it. He literally turns his head and looks incredibly photogenic mid-race, staring right down the lens of the camera.
Even under the weight of a grieving nation, he just had to make sure he looked good for the broadcast.
It's hilarious. But the race itself was so tense.
Unbelievably tense. As they came around the final turn, it turned into an all-Japanese duel. Victor Pisa made a sweeping move, and Transcend dug in at the rail, stride for stride, battle after battle.
Just leaving the rest of the world's elite horses behind them.
Exactly. Victor Pisa pulled away just slightly to win, but Transcend heroically held on for second. It was a historic 1-2 finish for Japan. And, you know, it wasn't just a race. It was a moment where an entire nation felt like it had stood back up.
It honestly gives you chills just thinking about it. But eventually the international heroes have to come home. And for Transcend, coming home meant his front-running style was going to be tested like never before.
Right. He resumed his campaign in the mile championship Nambu High. Due to earthquake damage, this race was moved to Tokyo Racecourse, and waiting for him was another dirt legend, Esport City.
Now, in this race, Esport City actually beat him to the punch and took the lead. And as they came down the stretch, Esport City actually passed Transcend.
He did.
And usually, when a front runner gets passed, their tank is empty, right? They drop their head and just fade. So what does this all mean for his legacy, that he actually fought back and repassed him late to win?
It proved he wasn't a one-trick pony. He had immense, undeniable grit. Passing a horse back after losing the lead is incredibly rare. It takes the heart of a fighter, and that victory secured another G1 for him.
Which he needed, because his next race was the JBC Classic against Smart Falcon, and Smart Falcon was a terror.
Oh, absolutely. Smart Falcon's early pace was so intense that he basically terrified other horses into submission early.
Yeah, reading the notes, it honestly reminded me of a heavyweight boxing match.
How so?
It was like 2 fighters walk into the center of the ring, completely ignoring the referee, and just trading haymakers. Transcend didn't back down. He went straight after Smart Falcon from the jump, and they completely separated from the field.
They did. They ran at a completely unsustainable, suicidal pace. It was a private war.
Transcend ultimately lost that race by 1 length. But the fans loved him even more for aggressively attacking the challenge, rather than just, sitting back to secure a safe second place.
That kind of bravery just endears an athlete to the public.
And he bounced right back to cement his legend at the Japan Cup Dirt. He blasted to the lead from the outside, crushed rivals like Esport City again, and became the first horse to win the race back-to-back.
Securing 3 consecutive Central JRA Dirt G1 victories, it's a record achievement.
But every athletic prime ends. And by his 6-year-old season, his greatest weapon, that early speed, began to fade.
Right. After heavier defeats and a 7th-place finish in the Tokyo Daisho 10, he retired. His final record, 24 starts, 10 wins, and 4 Central JRA Dirt G1 victories.
He went off to stud duty at Aero Stud, but he wasn't overwhelmingly popular as a sire, right?
No, he produced some regional Haneda High winners and some Central JRA Jump winners, but no massive dirt stars.
But here's the ultimate irony. It's wild that a horse known for his terrifying aggressive speed is ultimately remembered in retirement for making completely ridiculous, goofy facial expressions at visitors.
He really was. He was famous for his strange angles and bizarre faces.
It totally echoes the camera stare in Dubai.
It does.
Yeah.
And this raises an important question about what makes an athlete memorable. Transcend wasn't just a racehorse. He was pure charisma, confidence, and front-running energy who literally looked the world and the camera in the eye without fear.
I think that's the perfect note to end on.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more.